Hello everybody! Big childhood memory here today. As you can recall, I had got a similar clock last year. Maybe a little later than this in the year. This here is another one, so I'll have two. But what's different about this one, this is the one I grew up with. One just like it anyway. It hung in my late grandfather's game room, and it's got the same movement that has that motor sound to it when it rewinds. Exactly the same movement that's in the other one I got. So I'm going to attempt to get this one running as well and hang it beside the other one. So at long last, another childhood item has returned. What I got to do next is figure out how to get this apart. I've got to get the movement out, and being this behind the glass, I've got to get this panel out. Hopefully those 4 spring tabs will do the trick. All I can do is try. Maybe. That seems to be it. I'm sure getting those back in place is going to be a lot of fun. But taking them out's not too bad. And there it is. Of course, I will clean that up. Let's get the movement out. I did put a D battery in it. It did not run, so that's no surprise. Unfortunately, I don't have the proper tool to remove this. So, very carefully remove that brass piece and successfully didn't mark it up one bit. So that's awesome. Even has the same kind of hands the one my grandpa had. So very cool to have this. For whatever reason, I didn't get the real deal when he moved. Would have loved to have that piece. I recall it didn't keep time very well, but the one I refurbished last year keeps great time. So I can test on the motor as soon as I get the housing off. Set this aside to clean up. I think it's time to crack open a ice cold Dr. Pepper. I'm going to need it. It's possible somebody's been in here before because there's only one screw. I'll have to review my footage and see if the other 2 had screws. They may not have. Interesting. Very interesting. I think this one's glued in place. So that's going to be all sorts of fun. Yeah, it's glued. How about that? So how can you service this? Well, I'll come back when I get it opened up. I was able to gently pry up on those tabs that were glued in, and now I can proceed to spray my cleaner in there. I don't have much left, so hopefully it's going to be just enough to clean it. It's running. It'll need to wind up, but I don't have power to the motor. It's a good sign. Got a runner. Might be just enough to get it going. I'll oil it. Be okay. Carefully put everything back in place. See if I can get some power to the motor, as this thing wants to fall apart. See if this motor runs. Motor's not running, or my battery's dead, or my connections are not good. Motor is not running to rewind. It will spin, and when I get a little bit of tension on the spring, it runs. Now I got to make it run where it self-winds. It's a little while later. Unfortunately, the original movement was too far gone, but I had an acceptable plan L. That's the original hands. What I have is an early quartz movement. I got some of these new old stock. Might get another one. Look at the size of that crystal. It's got a date code of April 1977 on it. Don't know if that shows up or not. Maybe 4-77, so super early quartz movement. It still has the appearance of being a vintage, even more vintage movement. Same housing, but different components. It doesn't have that balance wheel on it any longer. There's the sticker on the back. Made in USA. It's a quartz GT 500, made in USA. And what's unique about this is it ticks half-second intervals. As maybe you can hear. I'll throw the second hand on it for just a moment, and you can see what I'm talking about. There you go. So that's something unique to have around the house. So I'll go ahead and clean up on that clock housing a little bit and come back here in a little bit. Here it is where it lives, right next to the Coca-Cola clock I got last year that was similar to the one I was looking for, which is this one here. Been looking for this model for quite some time, so great to have that back again. Once again, this has been a look at the twin to the clock that hung in my grandfather's game room. Thank you for watching.